Hello everyone! Today, to start off the new year, I want to share how I've set up my reading journal for 2023. I found I was finally able to stick to a reading journal in the later half of 2022, and this year I decided to upgrade my journal to an 8x8 square journal from Archer & Olive because I needed a change, and I also heard really great things about the paper quality in Archer & Olive journals. As I found in my prior journal, a lot of the pages bled, and I didn't like the look of it by the end of the year. Starting off with the first page in this journal, I decided to keep it pretty much blank. Other than my name and my Instagram and YouTube handle, I didn't have much inspiration for this page, and I'm sure I'll come back to it throughout the year and add more once I come up with something. I also added a bookish sticker just to kind of give a little pizzazz, but let's move on to the next page. I had a hard time deciding on what to do for my cover page, and I dwelled on it for a while I was doing my other spreads. And what I came up with was basically a drawing of a window, and I got inspiration from online as well as Plant-Based Ride. She put out a new Bujo video, and her cover page was of a door with a brick outline, and I really liked the brick outline aspect of it, and so I added that to this window. Here I'm just stamping out my title, so it says Reading Journal 2023, and I decided to stamp out basically all the titles of my pages in the beginning of my journal since it's a nice clean look and you can't go wrong with a nice stamp. And here you'll see me coloring in the window and the brick around the window. I kept it at a neutral theme, and you'll see these colors throughout my beginning spreads just to kind of keep it cohesive. I will probably change the color scheme throughout the year, but I wanted something simple to start off my journal. Moving on to the next two pages, these pages will be dedicated to my index, as Archer & Olive notebooks don't come with an index, and the pages aren't numbered. So I will be numbering the pages as I fill the journal out and adding in any pages that I want to reference often to the index so that I can find them as quick as possible. My next spread is my 2023 reading goals spread, and I'm really excited for this spread. So the second half of 2022, I made a conscious effort to read from new authors, different genres, and translated works, and I found some of my new all-time favorite books and authors. My first goal is to read 12 classics, so basically one a month, and I think that's really attainable, especially with the amount of different book clubs that I'm joining this year. And secondly, I want to read 10 translated works. I found one of my new favorite authors, Fredrik Backman, this year, and I read his work translated as I do not know Swedish, and I think that some of my most favorite works has been translated novels. My next goal is to read 6 books by Canadian authors, as I am Canadian, and following that I also want to read 5 novels by Polish authors, as I am Polish. I am decent at reading in Polish, but not fluent enough that I will read fast or even well. So I want to first start off with Polish authors, and hopefully in the future that will then switch to reading books in Polish. And my second last goal is reading from my physical TBR. That is a big goal of mine, as I tend to neglect the books that I already own, so I have that goal at 40 books. And then lastly, I have 6 big books. I have a fear of big books, and the ones that I have read that are big have been amazing. I just have some type of fear against them, so that is one of my goals, and I think it is quite achievable. The following spread is my reading tracker for the year. So my goal for reading this year is 120 books. I read 116 in 2022, so I think it is definitely achievable. I also added a couple extra squares to fit this page well, and so the total on this page will be 144 books. I don't know if I'll get to that point, but honestly, I'll be happy with any amount of books that I do read this year. You'll also see that I added a key at the top of the page, so as I read a new book and finish it, I will color in the format of the book that I read it in, so either audio, ebook, or physical. I just like to keep track of what formats I'm reading in mostly. It's kind of something fun to keep track of. My next spread will be my bookshelf spread, so once I read a book, I'll add it to the spread, and it will be a nice physical representation of how my bookshelf would look like if I owned every single book I read in 2023. I really enjoyed the spread in my last book journal, so I'm really excited to fill it out this year. You'll see that I only did the outline of the books for the first shelf, since I like changing it up as time goes along, so we'll see how it ends up looking like at the end of the year. The next 4 pages in my reading journal will be my book log. So once I finish a book, I'll be adding it to these pages. And you'll see that I add a couple columns on this page. So first, it'll be the title of the book, then the author, the dates I read the book, the format, so either audio, ebook, or physical, and then my rating out of 5 stars. Next is my best book of 2023 spread, and I got this idea from Plant-Based Bride. So the premise is that you choose your favorite book from each month of the year, and then from there they battle it out until you've picked one single favorite book of the year. So I'm really excited to see how this spread turns out at the end of the year, and who knows what my favorite will be. Only time will tell. The next spread I'm working on is my monthly ratings. I got this idea from All the Rad Reads on TikTok, I believe is her handle. If that's wrong, I will definitely put it in the description below. But basically, the premise is that every month you add the number of books that you gave ratings to from 1 to 5 stars. And then at the end of the year, you total how many books that you gave each star, and you can basically see how your reading year went. I believe this year, most books, or my average rating was around 3 stars, so it was a decent reading year, but I'm excited to see what the following year has in store. The next spread is my genre tracker, and I did this in my reading journal last year, and I loved seeing which genres I read most of and which I read least of. And last year I definitely read mostly romance, so I did add an extra line for romance in this tracker, but I'm excited to see if I can change up my taste this year and see how it goes. You'll see coming up which genres I added to my tracker, but I added classics, fantasy, fiction, graphic novels or manga, horror, memoir or biography, middle grade, mystery or thriller, nonfiction, romance, sci-fi, short story collection or poetry, and young adults. And I also left 2 sections blank just in case I read from any other genre that I don't have listed here. After recording, I went back to my genre tracker and I actually added a key at the top. So I decided to color coordinate each entry based on the rating that I give each book, so I can see overall which genres I rate higher than others. The following spread is my 23 and 2023 spread, so this will essentially be my TBR, or my most anticipated reads this year. And I haven't filled it out yet, but I have a loose idea of which books I will be adding, and hopefully I will actually end up reading these books by the end of the year. I've added space under where I'll be putting the covers of each book to add then my rating if I do end up reading it this year, and so you'll be able to see at one snapshot which books I actually end up reading and which books will hopefully be read soon. Next to that, I've added my books bought in 2023 spread. I wanted to keep track of how many books I bought this year and hopefully keep it at a minimum until I read more of my physical unread books that I have at home. So I also added a column at the end to see if I actually ended up reading these books in 2023, because I tend to buy books and then put them on my shelf and forget about them. So let's see how that goes. The next spread is my book bingo spread, which I really enjoyed doing last year. I found it very motivating to read more from different genres, and it was like a game to see how many rows of bingo I could get. I don't fill in each bingo card while recording this, but you will see it filled in at the end of this video. And so hopefully that'll give you guys some ideas of different types of things or prompts you can add to your own book bingo spreads. Right beside my book bingo is my physical books read spread. So as I read books that I already own, I'll be filling in the spread and also keep track of if I end up keeping them once I've read it or unhauling them. My next spread is dedicated to the Tipsy Tolstoy War and Peace reading schedule. I've had War and Peace on my TBR for years and found that this schedule is a great way to finally read it. I've added the dates that I need to read each section by on the left and then a tracker on the right to keep my motivation going on as I read. You'll see that my camera decides to die soon, but my final spread is dedicated to a Game of Tomes book club, which is hosted by Carolyn Marie Reads and Emmy here on YouTube. So I added a space to add the covers of each book that we'll be reading this year, as well as a space for my reading and thoughts underneath it. Here's where my camera decided to die, which I'm so sad about, but here's the final look of these 2 pages. I really love how they turned out, and here's a flip through of how it looked like after I completed my journal this day. I went back in the next day to fill in some details for these pages, as well as start my January spread as I finished my first book of the year. So I wanted to also show you guys how it ended up looking like. I'm sure I'll be adding more things and more details to these pages, and I'm really excited to share as the year progresses. As this video wraps up, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to start my YouTube channel and to talk more about books and journaling, and I hope to see you guys really, really soon. Happy reading!